Hey everybody. Well, here I am again, Starbucks. I'm gonna cover some more issues today. Um, Mostly because I got bored playing Endgame. Sort of gave up on that. Yeah. Well. Anyway. I hope you can hear it. Probably can't because there's a blender going, but there's some nice jazz, soft jazz going. One of the main reasons I like to hang out here is, yeah, you can hear it now, right? Main reason I like to hang out here is because of the atmosphere, jazz, the smell of the coffee and everything. By the way, I'm not getting addicted to coffee right now. I've got orange juice. I'm finished with it, but I'm not drinking coffee today. I don't want to get addicted. I know. It's a pretty important thing. Anyway, so today's issue, and don't expect this to be a daily series. I'll keep going on with this series, but I don't expect to do it every day. Today's issue, military-industrial complex. The term military-industrial complex was first coined in January 17th, 1961 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower during his farewell address. A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new to the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office in the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development. Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We must take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense and our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. So what the heck does this mean? Well, the military needs guns, they need weapons, they need aircraft, they need aircraft carriers, they need naval fleets, they need all sorts of things. They need bombs, they need all these things to go to war. And sometimes it's necessary to go to war, so they have to go to private companies to get them. And the companies, they make a huge profit off this. Now there are more and more companies growing that are just for war, for machines of war. During times of peace, they still need to work on these technologies, so they have something to sell to the government during times of war. It's become a competitive thing. So if they don't come up with the best technologies, they can't sell them to the government, and if the government isn't buying, they don't make a profit. So during times of peace, they still need to work on these things, and it costs money to work on these things. But they don't have anything to sell because there's no war going on, and so the military has no need to buy it. So they're losing lots of money, and they need a war to get that money back. So what they do is they wait for some sort of flame to grow, some sort of political animosity, some sort of dispute, and then they go and they fan the flame. They build the fire. They go in, they bribe the politicians. Instead of talking, instead of using diplomacy, go to war. Because if you go to war, we can sell these things to you, and if you go to war also, I'll give you some money for your campaign. We'll fund your campaign fully so that you can get reelected. So it's very much tied in with Congress, with the Senate, with the government altogether. So the military needs the military needs the products. The companies need the money. The money comes from the military. The military goes to war because of the senators who get bribed by the companies to go to war with the military, who then buys from the companies who are in turn selling to the military. It's this triangle of death and destruction. No presidential candidate has even brought up the topic of the military-industrial complex since Eisenhower himself. And here's where I'm going to get into my candidate again, Mike Gravel. Mike Gravel has been the first Eisenhower man, the first candidate to bring up the military-industrial complex himself since 1961. So, but it's a main part of his platform. It's one of the things that he is most adamant about, and I respect that. It's the most important situation, the most important problem in our nation today. And so we really need to elect somebody who wants to do something about it and who will do something about it. And we know that Mike Gravel isn't part of the military-industrial complex because he doesn't take money from lobbyists. He doesn't accept bribes. Because he takes only donations from people like you and me for his campaign, he's not being influenced by the sorts of people that make the military-industrial complex happen. But really, lobbyism and the military-industrial complex are things you really have to take into account when you're figuring out who you're going to vote for. You know about the big-name candidates. And the reason you know about the big-name candidates is because they've got a lot of money. And they've got a lot of money because they take money from special interest groups and lobbyists. And because they take money from special interest groups and lobbyists, their voting is going to, and their policies are going to follow the policies that the special interest groups want them to follow. So basically, the reason you know about them is because they are corrupt. That's why you have to vote for the little guy, because they're the little guy because they're doing the right thing. If you vote for the people that you know are going to win, then what's the point of voting? Quite honestly, people talk about throwing your vote away. I've talked about throwing your vote away. I know the logic behind it. Basically, you're thinking, you're taking the vote away from those who might actually win. But if nobody thought that way, if we completely got rid of that frame of mind and had people voting for who was best, who was actually best qualified for the job, we wouldn't have that problem anymore. There would be no more little name candidates, and we would be able to have a proper election. So vote for who deserves the vote, not for who's going to win. Vote for who deserves the vote, and maybe then they will win. So I appreciate your time. I will be coming out with another episode shortly, and by shortly I could mean a couple of days or a week or more. Vote smart.